the story of how I found my birth father. Sort of. So I have been searching for my birth parents pretty much my whole life, ever since I was a little kid and learned how to Google. But I always kind of had these roadblocks because I only really ever knew information about my birth mother, who unfortunately passed away when I was about 3 years old. And I was adopted at birth, so I always kind of knew that I would never really find her. I have since been able to get in contact with other members of my birth mother's family, like my half-sister, but I never really had any information about my birth father until I turned 18, and for my birthday I requested that I get to see all of my adoption files. It was never something that wasn't available to me. I'm very fortunate to have those files available to me, but I would think I was ready to see them, and I was ready to see all the information that I had available. And my birth mother listed every little detail she could think of. I'm so fortunate to have that. She listed all her family history, all her information, her parents, her other children, as well as my birth father's information. Everything from his name, his age, most recent location, as well as half-siblings that I had through him. And for some reason I wasn't ready at the time to really look into finding him. I was content with where I was at in my search, and I was ready to just take a break and pause for a year or so. And then about a year ago, I remembered I had all this information available and I was ready to go search. So I put in my birth father's name into Facebook, which is a great tool, by the way. Make sure you're fact checking yourself always, but I found someone who had the exact same name, fit the exact location, everything seemed correct, and I gave them a message and just describing who I was, very plain and simple. I'm not looking for anything, just information. And they told me, I'm not your birth father, I'm actually your half brother. I have the same name as our father. And I was blown away. On the first try, I found a half sibling right off the bat. It was amazing. But I was still, of course, looking for my birth father. So I asked him, "Oh, I'm so happy to meet you. I would love to talk to you more. Do you happen to have any information on our shared father?" And he said, "Oh, of course. Would you like his number? He actually lives with me." Which blew my mind. I didn't have to take any more steps. I didn't have to go on a long search. He was right there. He was right there. It was amazing. And so I actually got to start to get to know my birth father. And he was wonderful. I was so grateful that that whole side of the family just immediately just took me in and embraced me and wanted to get to know me so quickly. And you, of course, need to be careful when getting to know people you've never met before. But it was amazing, and I was so happy, and I really wanted to meet them. And as you know, or maybe don't know, I live in Canada, and they all live in the United States. So last summer, I went to the US, took a road trip up to where they live, and stayed at a relative's house nearby. And the timing was perfect because some of my birth mother's family was in the area as well, visiting their friends and family. So one day I went to go and meet up with my birth mother's side of the family and got to see them and hang out with them and get to know them better, and it was amazing. And it's funny because I was still doing some more research as I was on this trip on Ancestry.com, of course, and I started getting all of these matches correct with one person. And so I messaged this person because everything seemed to be coming up in the same family. And she said, "Oh yes, we have a pretty well documented family tree. We're a well-known family of the area, and we actually have a family reunion about an hour away from where you are tomorrow." And I was shocked, and I took a chance and I decided to go. So I, on this road trip, went to my birth father's family reunion. There were at least 150, maybe 200 people there. It was incredible. They were so kind. Unfortunately, my birth father and half siblings couldn't be there, so I hadn't met them yet. But I went and I met all these extended members of my family. It was amazing. They were so welcoming and had all this food and dancing and a piñata, and it was so much fun. I got to meet all these little cousins that I had, and there's even some ceremony, and it was just beautiful. They took me right in, and they noticed I was alone. I came by myself, and they were like, "Oh, Mija, are you by yourself? Come here, come sit with me, come sit with us, come eat with us, have some food, enjoy yourself." And I've never felt so welcomed by people that didn't know me. I didn't know them, but I was immediately part of the family. It was the most beautiful experience I've maybe ever had. But the next day, when I went to go meet up with the birth mother side of the family, which was wonderful, one of the family members took me aside and they told me they didn't have too much of a relationship with my birth mother about the time that she was pregnant with me, but she did know that my birth mother told her that she did not know who the father was. Shock. Everything, my heart stopped. I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm glad they told me. I feel like, you know, as an adoptee, you deserve the truth, but it was definitely an earth-shattering moment. I had just gone to a family reunion of all these people. I felt so complete, and it was suddenly ripped away right before my eyes in a matter of seconds. It was shocking, and a few hours later, I went to go meet my birth father and half siblings for the first time in my life. But I went in tears because I had no idea if, you know, they were my birth father and siblings, or if there was a confusion or mix-up and my birth mother really didn't know who the father was, because the two birth fathers seemed to be very, very similar in description. So I don't know, there was a lot of conflict in myself going to meet them. I had a wonderful time meeting them, and it was beautiful, and they felt so right and so familiar. So there was no doubt in my mind that they were my family. But of course I left the meeting and I asked my birth father, "Are you okay with taking a paternity test? I just found out this information and I don't know what to do." And he was so certain. He was so sure. Of course you can absolutely have a paternity test. We'll set it up, we'll make it happen, and we'll get the answer that we of course already know is the truth, that I'm your birth father. And I was like, okay, thank you so much, let's do it. I set up the appointments and we made it happen. Later, I got the DNA paternity test results. And like a crazy episode of Maury, he was not the father! Yeah, that sucked. Pretty much took a couple days to myself, locked myself away, and did nothing but watch movies and cry. Which is okay. You need to process information, and none of this is easy, and there are probably not too many people around you who can relate, which is okay. That's why I'm making this. So if you're out there and you are kind of going through something similar, you have something you can relate to. So yeah, he's not my birth father, but that doesn't change how I feel about them. They're not biologically related to me, but just like a lot of people in my life, they're not biologically related to me, but I love them endlessly. Like I've said before, there is no cap to my love, there's no end to it, so they will always be family to me. They will always be my brothers, my sisters, and my father in a way. They will always be a part of my life, so I'm very grateful for that. But I am now on the search to find my birth father with seemingly no clues, no information whatsoever, starting back from scratch, which is very scary, and which is why I have my 23andMe test as well as my Ancestry DNA test, which I have the results from. And I am very deep into that journey, and I will update you very soon. So that's the story of how I went to a stranger's family reunion. I do not regret it. I am better for it and I feel more complete for it, but my journey continues and I can't wait to see what happens next. If you want to buy my shirt, check out the link below in the description. It was inspired by me and my story by the company Adoptee merch, and if you'd like to buy the crop top version or the t-shirt version, you can check it out on their site. They also have an amazing DNA program where a portion of every purchase goes towards helping an adoptee take a DNA test so they can find out more about who they are. Until next time.